I'm William Nozak, and in this video, I'm covering editorial calendar techniques. What is an editorial calendar? Around 70% of companies use an editorial calendar for their content strategy. An editorial calendar creates a timeline of the content you intend to publish and when you intend to publish it. It should be a thematic roadmap, shows when your overarching content should be scheduled throughout a calendar year. Editorial calendar techniques. What does an editorial calendar look like? What should be included? How often should you update the calendar? And is the editorial calendar set in stone? So why use an editorial calendar? It's about being organized and developing a plan that will ensure the content works best for you at a particular time of year. Let me give you an example. So you're in a space, you're working for a company. You know what their services, their products are. You know what they're trying to have thought leadership in. You then, before the quarter starts, create a content calendar saying this is seasonal information, this is what's changing in the industry, that's what's coming down the pipeline, and you create like a column of seasonal topics. And then you create another category that's called evergreen updates, and make your content team go back and make changes, additions, modifications to that content. And then each quarter, stick with it. And so I would do it quarter by quarter, half year by half year, and minimally year by year. It's hard for you to really know what to write or what to change in a year, but really you can say, here are our complete guides. They need to be updated annually. Here's what's usually going to happen seasonally. And then you always want to stay flexible for what's happening in real time. Certainly there's going to be some content you write in real time. So you could have in your content calendar, you've got this thing, and this is when the team's going to write and research this is when it's going to be published, this is what's going to be researched, written, proved, published, and you can create this homogeneous system. And then of course you're going to be marking that up against what you wrote last year and the year before that and the year before that and 10 years earlier, so that we're not cannibalizing posts. That's what's super important. In this calendar you can even include more data, like when was it published, when was it indexed, who indexed it, is it internally linked to other resources? Editorial calendars can very quickly turn into a robust tracking system. So editorial calendars are about the big picture. Who are we thematically? Who are we in the space? Who are we out here in the industry? Can act as another line of communication for the marketing team. A lot of times the ads team and the sales team don't really know what we're doing from a content marketing strategy, right? We're trying to push forward thought leadership, inbound marketing. Where are these new leads coming from? It's because I've been doing this for 10 years and our strategy's working, and I told you it would 10 years ago, and now it is. Right? Some people have to live that. That's reality. But having a content strategy to articulate to other people, they'll be able to see what our team's working on, how we're going about trying to filter in impressions, clicks, leads, and prospects and sales. And that way they can kind of understand their ads. Maybe we can tailor and match up when they're running seasonal ads. We can match up some seasonal content. We can also really make it robust. And if we've got email marketing information that's getting pumped out there, and then we're targeting people with ads, and then we've got some really good seasonal information that we continually update or we write, all of this works together. So it allows you to see a snapshot of your content. Really, it's a snapshot of your marketing strategy because it takes human time, it takes talent, it takes your development team, and they could be working on new developments, new additions, and here you are writing some robust content or new interior pages. Shows any gaps in your strategy, which can help you prepare for the right content at the right time. What does an editorial calendar look like? So there's no same way, really. It's just a tracking system. And you can find calendar examples, but really you're just going to make it robust and make sense to your team, depending upon how many people are managing the content, who's vetting out the topics, what have we written in the past, what do we want to update from the past, do we want to spend time and not write any content and go back and see what we have and what we don't have before we do that, so we're not just writing cannibalizing content, rewriting what we used to have. Google already loves it. Here we do write a new one that's updated. Now Google's confused. The editorial calendar will help us keep track over time. As a marketing director comes in, goes out, they can see what we have, what we don't have. So use spreadsheets, Google Sheets, super easy. What should be included? Important dates, events, seasons, holidays, what's happening in the industry. Certainly if we can have that in the calendar, it can really help our teams to know how they can run their ads, what they can do in social media, and certainly how we tailor our content writing strategy. So topics, subtopics, macro research, micro research, top of the funnel topics that we've never covered, and then breaking those overarching complete guides down into smaller topics. Frequency, do we write weekly? Do we write bi-weekly? Do we write weekly, monthly, quarterly? You can write it quarterly and then meter it out through the year. That certainly can be done. Platforms, where do we publish it? So we publish it to the website. Do we press some of it out on the wire? Do we always share it in social media? What channels is it shared for? Do we have someone go and retool some of that content and then just post it to the social medias and just chunks of it and then refer back to the final piece? Who's tracking this? Are we doing this to cross all the T's and dot all the I's? How often should you update the calendar? There's no right, wrong. It's how meticulous do you want to be? How set in stone can you make it as you get better at it, and then stick with it? It's all about that documentation, though. Like, the documentation is going to help you really stay on top of it. If I can look at it really quickly and everyone's doing their job, then really I can be adding more editorial calendar items or line items in my editorial calendar, and the teams can really get notified or know when they need to go and write those things or update those evergreens, etc. So this ensures your calendar will be aligned with your goals, right? What are the marketing goals? What is the budget? What are the goals? How much time do we want to spend on content? Certainly needs to be always more than you think. Do we want to be a thought leader? What do our competitors have? What's the gap? How much do we have to catch up? Do we want to write more than them? Really, what do we have? What are we working with? What do the competitors have? And that will help us to really align a calendar to catch up, win, be competitive. Is the editorial calendar set in stone? Certainly not. Be flexible, modify it, make sure your team's on board. The more people that are updating it with information, the better and more accurate it's going to be. You can kind of understand some of your time lags from research, writing, proofing, publishing, internal linking, indexing, all of these things. We can kind of get some time lags and understand that I need to have it in the pipeline here to really have it kicked out here. And certainly when it needs to have SEO value, you need to have it published well before that time comes, because if you try to publish it right when the trend is happening or right in that season, you're just not going to have the traction. So we want to get those things published earlier, updated earlier, so that Google can see we're ahead of the trend pops, the content's been updated, it's high quality, boom, we've got an opportunity to catch some organic traffic. That's the editorial calendar and some techniques. If you need to, go back and watch that. If not, I'll see you in the next module.